Breeders' Cup prep is in full swing, and I'm back here with some more handicapping pedigree information for you. And I remembered this time to put my background up for my show, which I never remember to do. So props to me for that. But anyway, we're going to be talking about the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies in this video. My name is Jessica Tugwell, and this is the Pedigree Puzzle. All right, the second race on Future Stars Friday is the Juvenile Fillies. And we're going 8.5 furlongs on the dirt. We have 13 fillies signed up for this race. And of course, this is the race everyone is watching for Tamara, the daughter of Beholder. But we'll get to her. We're going to go horse by horse through the field, and then we'll talk about some opinions, and I'll give you my picks for this race. So first is Candied, breaking from the rail. She's the winner of the Grade 1 Alcibiades, and she's 2 for 2 lifetime. She's by Candy Ride, who is the sire of Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner and champion 2-year-old game winner. And her dam was a New York bred stakes winner at 2. So there's definitely precocity here. And Candy has shown it with that Alcibiades win. Yeah, she's a trainee of Todd Pletcher, who we know, even though he has never won this race, we know he's a good trainer. And she certainly looks like one of the main contenders here. She's 4 to 1 on the morning line. The 2 is Jody's Pride. I talked about this horse a little bit in my Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf preview video, but she's done nothing wrong in 2 starts, both sprinting. She won by open lengths both times. She broke her maiden by 10.5 and then won by 3.5 in the matron at Aqueduct. So there's nothing wrong there. She is going to be stretching out for the first time, but her sire, American Pharaoh, if you're watching this, you probably know that he won the Triple Crown and he was a champion at 2. So I'm not worried about stretching out here. And her dam was also 2 for 2 lifetime. Both of those were routing on the turf, which is why they had this as the second preference to actually stretching her out and trying turf in the Juvenile Fillies turf. But that one got oversubscribed. So here she is staying on the dirt. And she's kind of interesting in here. I think she's one of the pace factors. She is another one who, in a lot of these races, you'll see horses whose speed figures are just a little bit behind what some of the others in the field have done. But with these 2-year-olds, they can always step up and show that they have that kind of talent to do that step up. And I love the stretch out for Jody's Pride. I think that she will improve off of that 72 buyer figure that she got going 6 furlongs in the matron. And she is one who, again, I think she'll probably be pressing the pace, probably going toward the front with Flavian Pratt from the inside there. The 3 is Scalable. She's a maiden in here, but she was second to Chitalis in the Chandelier last time out. And after a pretty, I would say, lackluster effort on debut, splitting a field of 10 at Saratoga, was beaten by 3 3/4 lengths by Alpine Princess in that race. This Spicetown Tappet Cross has been very good, though, producing 16.7% stakes winners in 36 starters, including Grade 1 winner Lexitonian. And her dam is a half to the 2-year-old graded stakes winner Stop Charging Maria, who did a lot more than that, but the 2-year-old graded stakes win is what we're focusing on for this spot. So Scalable is bred to be a nice horse, but it's hard to know if she's really up for it here. And another long shot, 30 to 1 on the morning line, is Where's My Ring, another maiden. Was beaten a nose and then a neck in her first 2 starts, though, and then tried the Surfer Girl Stakes, where she was 4th by 2.5 lengths to Dreamfire. That was on the turf. She's getting back to dirt here, but that Surfer Girl Stakes was also her first try going 2 turns. She's a $100,000 yearling, and if you go back to her 3rd dam, there is a Grade 1 winning 2-year-old Majestic Warrior under her 3rd dam, so there's a little bit of pedigree there. And this Twirling Candy Tappet Cross has produced the multiple graded stakes winner Gear Jockey, so there's some precedent for that as well. But this definitely looks to be a little bit too much for Where's My Ring at this point in her career. The 5 is Omaha Girl, another long shot in here, and possibly the longest of long shots if you're relying just on speed figures, as her career lifetime high buyer is a 55. She's 2 for 2 on dirt, though, including the Hallandale Beach Stakes last time out. Her only career loss in 3 starts came on the turf in the Colleen. She's a half to a Bon, who was a stakes winner on turf at up to 2 miles. So you definitely don't have to worry about the extra 16th of a mile here for Omaha Girl, I don't think. And I really do like this Omaha Beach Tappet cross. He's got quite a few of them that were bred on this cross. It creates line breeding to Ruby Slippers, who is the dam of Rubiano, a horse that Omaha Beach is line bred to, and also the third dam, I believe, sorry, this is off the top of my head, of Tappet. But that Ruby Slippers does appear 3 times in the pedigree of Omaha Girl, which is an interesting pedigree note, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get her anywhere close in this race, to be honest. The 6 is Chitalis. She's one of the 2 in the field, along with Candy, to have a win at the distance. But the question is, how good was that field? Scalable, a maiden, finished second to her, and then Dua was third, and Dua had been pretty highly regarded, was a debut winner, and had been trying stakes since, but when she was last seen, she was pretty disappointing. So I'm not convinced Dua is all that great. I think Dua would be a pretty reasonable long shot in here, and I kind of think that the 8-1 morning line on Chitalis is a little bit short. I would kind of think she's more like a 12-1 shot in here, but she has a good pedigree to be precocious. Her sire Gunrunner obviously is the sire of Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner Echo Zulu, sending lots of healing vibes out to Echo Zulu, who was injured in the train up for the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint. And Chitalis' dam was a winner in her only start. So there is some precocity on the bottom as well from that Indian Charlie mare Indian Safari. I'm just not 100% convinced of the depth of the California 2-year-old division at this point in time. I'm just going to need to see some proof from most of them. But the one who I do kind of have some faith in because of the way she's been beating up on those California fields is the 7 Tamara. She won by open lengths in both of her starts and looked dazzling in the Del Mar debutante last time out. Her sire Bolta Oro, it does seem that his foals might be a little bit distance limited as far as, when we were talking about them on the Kentucky Derby Trail earlier this year. But I don't think a mile and a 16th would be an issue. Beholder obviously won up to a mile and a quarter in that Pacific Classic win. And she also, of course, won this Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies in 2012. So Tamara's done nothing wrong. My only question mark with her is what was she beating out there in California? But she's been doing it the right way. She's been so professional in her wins. She was very close in the Del Mar debutante, but actually stumbled at the start and kind of came up the inside, showed tons of professionalism in that debut win. So I think she's going to be very tough to beat in here. The 8 is Esprit Enchanté. She broke her maiden by a nose last time out. She obviously is going to be stepping up in class and stretching out here. But I think there's reason to believe that that could be an all right move for her. The Tappet Ghost Zapper Cross has produced 11.5% stakes winners in 52 starters, so there's been a lot of quality there, including Grade 1 winner American Gal. Now, American Gal's best race was the 7 furlong test, but the Dam of Esprit Enchanté was a stakes winner at this distance in Maryland, so there's a little bit more there. This is a horse who I actually think she's had trouble in both of her starts, and I think that she could be one who might be able to spice up your exotics underneath in the trifecta, maybe the exacta, but definitely like a trifecta or superfecta underneath type of horse. I think this horse could make a little bit of noise. Bright Work is the 9. She started out her career 4 for 4, but then stretched out in the Alcibiades and kind of faltered. She was beaten 10 1/4 lengths by Candide when finishing 5th in that 8-horse field. Her sire Outwork's average winning distance is 6.5 furlongs, and her dam is a full sister to the dam of horses such as Gervin, as well as Iroquois Stakes winner Cocked and Loaded, Iroquois runner-up Midnight Bourbon. So there's some precocity here, but I am a little bit concerned about the distance for Bright Work based on her performance in that Alcibiades. She was so brilliant in the Adirondack, the Spinaway, the debutante at Ellis, but does she want to go a mile and a 16th is the question here. I think she'll be fairly well positioned close to the pace, and I'm just not convinced, but that I do think the 12-1 morning line on Bright Work does make me kind of want to use her because if she wins this, we'll all just say, oh, she had a bad day in the Alcibiades. And, you know, if she runs back to the kind of race she ran in the Adirondack, I think that absolutely makes her a player in here. It's just a question of, can she do that around 2 turns? The 10 is Accommodate Eva. She broke her maiden last time out in a restricted maiden special weight for horses that sold for $50,000 or less. She herself was a $25,000 yearling at Keeneland September. She's going to be stretching out for the first time as well. Her sire Munning's average winning distance is 6.4 furlongs, and she's a half-2 a New Mexico bred stakes winner at up to this distance of 1 mile and a 16th, though. So there is a little bit there out of being out of a mare by Pleasantly Perfect to try and kind of offset that Munnings, which makes you think sprinter, maybe a mile. But she was looked pretty good in that win. But again, it was a restricted to horses who sold for 50,000 or less, and there are definitely horses in here who sold for a lot more than $50,000 at auction. So this is a big step up, and I'm not convinced that she wants to go 1 mile and a 16th either. The 11 is Life Talk. She was 3rd in the Frizette over a sloppy track last time out, was beaten 4 1/4 lengths by Just FYI. Again, gun runner. We know he's sired Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner Echo Zulu, so there's precocity there. And her dam was a winner at 1 mile 70 yards on debut, so I'm not worried about the extra 16th of a mile here. Life Talk's maiden win by 6.5 lengths at Saratoga was at 1 mile. So I don't think that the extra 16th is going to bother her. I'm just not sure that she's quite as good as some of the others in this field. The 12 is Just FYI. She's 2 for 2 so far. She won the Frizette last time out. Again, that was on a sloppy track, so you always have to kind of wonder if that stepped them up a little bit. But it wasn't a huge jump up in figures from her maiden win, which she got by a head going 6 furlongs at Saratoga. So I'm not as inclined to think that that was some kind of fluky off-track effort. Her speed figure improved by 5 points, which is kind of average for a horse making her second career start. So I think you can trust that that was a legit race from her. And her sire Justify has been on fire this year with his 2-year-olds. He has City of Troy and Opera Singer, 2 of the best 2-year-olds overseas. And her female family, when you go back to her 3rd dam, To the Hunt, her 2nd dam is Grade 1 winner Star, and then also other Grade 1 winners under that mare To the Hunt include Stellar Jane and Star Billing. So she's by a Triple Crown winner. She comes from a really deep female family. I think this is a filly with a lot of ability, and I think she's one that we'll continue to hear from in her career. I'm a little bit worried about the outside post. She has tactical speed, and I don't know that she's going to be able to get like the kind of positioning she wants in this race. And I think she might just I'm not convinced that this is the spot for Just FYI, but she wouldn't shock me. In the 13 on the far outside is Alice Beach. Last time we saw her, she was finishing 3rd in the Alcibiades. Prior to that, she was 4th in the Spinaway after breaking her maiden on debut over Life Talk. She actually comes from the same female family, 22C, as her sire, Omaha Beach. I've talked before about I really like seeing stallions, horses who come from the same mitochondrial line genetics as their sire, because you know that the sire, by virtue of the fact that he's standing at stud, was a good horse. So you know that his nuclear DNA works with his mitochondrial DNA. And so you're bringing them back to that same mitochondrial DNA as a pattern I like to see. And her dam was graded stakes placed at 2, or sorry, her 2nd dam was graded stakes placed at 2. And her dam's 2 career wins both came at 6.5 furlongs. So I'm not 100% sure if the 1 mile and a 16th might have been part of the problem last time out in the Alcibiades, where she set the pace and just held on by a head to hold 3rd. But she's a nice horse. She's not one I'm really interested in this spot today. So taking a look at the field, I'm going to be honest, despite what I said about the West Coast 2-year-olds, I do think that Tamara looks like a standout in here. I think that, it's a 13-horse field. A lot can happen. Any of these fillies could step up with a big race. But I do think that as far as, what looks like a really tough sequence, if you're looking for a single, just take Tamara. But if you're trying to beat her, if, like me, you're not convinced that the West Coast 2-year-olds are all that good, then there are some options underneath. I think Candied makes a ton of sense. I don't love the rail draw for her, but she's shown some professionalism. So I think that, she's passed horses in both of her starts. I'm not totally gonna jump ship just because of the rail draw. I think that, like I was saying about Bright Work, she's one of those horses where I don't know that she really wants the mile and a 16th. But if you get around that 12-1 morning line, if she gets bet down, I'm not super interested in her. But at like 10, 12-1, I think that she's the kind of horse that you have to think that, she won her first four starts. She was pretty much the leader of the division, I would say, until that Alcibiades. So I think that it's worth giving her one more shot here, especially if, like I said, you can get a little bit of a price on her. And then, as I said, that kind of bomb to fill out the lower half of your verticals, Esprit Enchanté, I think, makes some sense to be a horse who could improve. She needs to improve, but I'm kind of hoping, I'm kind of leaning on that tap it stretching out angle with her, and the fact that her dam was a winner at 2 turns. And so that's kind of my angle there. It's a little bit more of a pedigree angle on that filly. She needs to show up, but I don't know. I think she could get a piece of it. So let me know what you think. If you have any long shots, do you think Tamara is a single in this spot, or do you think that there are other options? Do you think that you have to use Candied? Do you think that I was wrong to leave off horses like Chatalis, or just FYI from my selections? Let me know. And until next time, thanks so much for watching. And I am back today to tell you